Good evening. Tonight's topic is it worth it? My purpose is to identify the necessary evil, is what I'm calling it, of the seeming intrusion upon our Fourth Amendment rights by the Transportation Security Administration, better known as TSA. Since 9/11, and even more importantly because of 9/11, we have had to endure what I call a necessary evil, which is the unlawful and intrusive um, behavior upon our person of the TSA when we go through airport security. The unlawful and the unrighteous behavior of a few people have made it awful for all of us. If I were to take a survey of my audience tonight, I'm certain that a good percentage of you have taken a flight on a commercial airline. Perhaps you would say at least one time, or some of you would say many times you have flown. And if you have flown since September the 11th, 2001, you've had an encounter with going through airport security and all that it entails. You and I can walk down any street anywhere in the United States, and if a police officer would stop us, they would not have the right to stop us and arbitrarily search our person and take our goods or our belongings without probable cause that we had committed a crime or we're in the process of doing something wrong. Yet you and I can walk into any airport in the United States with a ticket in our hand and proceed to the boarding area, and immediately, amen, the rules change. Our Fourth Amendment rights, which protected us on the street outside of the airport, have given way to the rules and the regulations of this government agency called the Transportation Security Administration. Once you've crossed the threshold of that boarding area and have the intent to board a plane and take a flight, you must park your Fourth Amendment rights at the door. But I want you to think, even with all that said, I want you to ask yourself the question, is it worth it? I mentioned before, since 9/11, and more importantly because of 9/11, this new government agency was formed. It stood up as a government agency in November 2001 as a part of the Department of Transportation. Subsequently, in March 2003, it became a part of Homeland Security. According to the TSA website, it has over 50,000 employees, which cover 450 airports nationwide. Their mission is to protect the nation's transportation systems to ensure freedom of movement for people and commerce. I'm sure the TSA would say that their mission doesn't intrude upon our rights, but rather supports the Fourth Amendment, which states the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. That's our Fourth Amendment according to the United States Constitution. But this relatively new government agency has the mandate to safeguard and secure the traveling public of our great nation. The TSA officer has seemingly a lot of liberty and discretion in the exercise of their responsibilities. According to TSA guidelines, the TSA officer has the discretion to prohibit a passenger from carrying any item past the checkpoint and on board the plane that they deem poses a security threat, no matter what that item might be. If this supposed threat is on or about your person or among your belongings, they have the right to stop you, to search you, and to possibly detain you. If this item is on their prohibited items listing, then depending on what it is, say for instance it's a small pair of scissors. Some of us carry these in sewing kits and the like. You must give up your item if you intend to get on the plane. Now you can insist on keeping the item, but if you insist on keeping the item, you're not getting on the plane. Additionally, now the TSA is using metal detectors and advanced imaging technology machines. They're called AIT for short. These AIT machines are high-tech X-ray machines. To date, there are about 500 of them in use in airports nationwide. If an alarm indicates that you have something on your person that is not permitted, then the next step is the pat-down. We've all heard about the pat-down. According to TSA, pat-downs are also used when a person opts out of going through the AIT screening machine in order to detect potentially dangerous and prohibited items. In other words, you're going to get checked one way or the other. You have certain rights, though, TSA says, according to their website. With these pat-downs, according to them, we have the right to have the pat-down witnessed by a person of our choice. We also have the right that all pat-downs will be conducted by same-gender officers. The officer will explain the pat-down process before and during the pat-down. If you have a medical device somewhere on your body, please inform the officer. They have updated the TSA pat-down guidelines recently in dealing with the elderly and dealing with young children, to say that no child under the age of 12 years old will receive a pat-down. All of this thought about, amen, we must remember the purpose of it all. The metal detectors, the AIT machines, the pat-downs, and all of these things are there to ensure that dangerous and harmful persons and items do not board the aircraft in the plane that we want to get on. So we must ask ourselves again, is it worth it? Let's look at some of the stats or the statistics the TSA gives to show us that their mission is being accomplished to keep us safe and secure in the air. In their screening of over 2 million passengers every day and over 4 billion checked bags, their efforts have led to more than 2,200 arrests to date. They have detected more than 1,100 firearms during airport security screenings in 2011 alone. So at least on one or many of these occasions of these screenings, you and I were present. We were on those airplanes. We were, amongst those passengers boarding those planes. And we can think about the fact that the efficient and the effective efforts of TSA enabled us to have an uneventful and a safe journey to our destination. So while it's often inconvenient, aggravating, uncomfortable, nerve-wracking, time-consuming, all of that, amen, to boot, and a few more things that we can probably think of, let's just consider for a moment if TSA were not in place and we had to rely on the folks to act right, we had to rely on people to do right and be right, right of their own volition and their own goodwill. Which would you rather depend upon if it was weighed in the balance, if both of those things were weighed in the balance? I believe that I would rather go through with the TSA and all that it entails, to be screened, to be patted down, to be x-rayed, whatever it is involved, amen, because despite it all, I personally believe it's worth it. How about you?